about it on the phone one day, and I said, you know, I'm beginning to get a grasp of this thing. He said, would you mind talking about it? And I went, sure. Well, then I decided I'd start to read the bill.
No Congress for you.
First thing that I hope some of you are taking notes, because there's something that you really need to do, and I'm going to, actually I want to come back on what was just talked about as far as transparency is concerned. Just a little follow-up before I go into cap and trade. We had, last week, I'm helping Jen Cassie run for Governor's Council, and there's another checkpoint, like was just talked about. The Governor's Council has been a rubber stamp in this state for anything that basically the legislature wanted to get through, no matter who the governor was. So that's why we need some conservative people on the Governor's Council. It's actually the checkpoints in the in the executive branch. But now going back to this. I don't want to call this guy names, other than the fact that I'm thoroughly convinced that Henry Waxman is a devil. If you go on right now, there is a Thomas Library. Ever heard of it? Heard of it? Great. You simply go on the Thomas Library, U.S. Congress, it tells you all the bills, everything that's going on, what's been approved, what hasn't been approved, what's pending, what's in committee, what's not committee, exact status. It's pretty interesting. And if you basically want to find every major bill in the House that's in a detriment to our country, this guy is behind it. He wrote it. It's Waxman. And I come from an automotive background, and I can tell you a lot of different stories to substantiate some of the things in the turnpike. In fact, I've got to get together with her and swap some stories about the turnpike. But I had friends of mine after that great night of the debate where Scott Brown said it was the people's seat, and I had probably, between emails and phone calls, people all around the country, I had about 50 the next 24 hours saying, does this guy really have a chance? I mean, from Texas, from Pennsylvania, from California, we're going to send him money. Well, you need to look up and see who's running against Wexman, because he needs to go. The guy who's running happens to be a conservative Republican. Imagine that in California. He happens to be a Tea Party guy. Imagine that in California. His name is Ari David. A-R-I, David, just spelled David. And I would look this up and get involved and see what you can do for this guy's campaign. Because Waxman is absolutely scary. When I first talked with Justin the other day, I was led to believe that there were 553 sections to the cap and trade bill, about 1,428 pages. And then I discovered that there was really 862 sections to this bill, but over 2,400 pages. And some of the bad things are in it. I mean, to give you an idea how long this is, printed that big, there's 15 pages of headings for the sections when you print it out on your computer. It literally touches every single aspect of your life. Every single thing that you do from the time, I can't even say from the time you get up and go to bed at night, because it touches you while you're sleeping, other than health care. It touches everything. It touches your transportation in every way, shape, or form. I mean, Waxman's big thing is he keeps telling how bad diesels are, and we have to get rid of diesel engines, we have to do this, we have to do that, except, gee, it's kind of surprising that as of January 1 of this year, the new diesel emission law that's out right now, you probably don't know this, but the air coming into the radiator is actually dirtier than the air coming out of the tailpipe on a diesel truck. So how can a diesel be bad, other than the fact that they've reduced its efficiency so much that it's now making more common sense for major fleets to go back to gas engines because they've taken away the edge on a diesel. But other than that, there's a provision in there which I tried to find the exact thing, and it's very interesting. The enforcement section of this bill is buried. I haven't been able to find it yet. I guess what I'm actually going to have to do is print 2,400 pages and go through it line by line to find this. But I was able to pick up a couple bullet points. Every city and town is going to have a minimum of 3 federal inspectors. And will be more depending upon the size of the city and town. They will have a right to go into every square inch of every building in every city and town. Churches, your homes, your business. They're going to inspect your heating system, your insulation, your AC, your light bulbs, your appliances, on and on and on. There's even provisions that they will be able to come in and tell you that you need to plant trees in your yard, and then you will be responsible for the tree for the first 5 years, and you have to give yearly reports on how you're taking care of the tree and how it's growing. Dead serious. Dead serious. Okay? They're going to eliminate all the basic kind of light bulbs which have been around for a long time. I mean, we all know light bulbs are getting more efficient. Okay? But the fluorescent bulbs that they're really pushing in all this are dramatically worse as far as how you get rid of them. You're creating another problem because now you have a biohazard. Okay? So where's the trade-off between we use a little more power and now we have a biohazard? Okay? It's just like electric cars coming from the automotive industry. It's real cool to talk about electric cars. But I can tell you, because of all the experience that I've had, it's not the solution. Because when you mix oil, gasoline, and battery acid at an accident scene, you ever thought about that? That's pretty scary. They are going to have the ability to go into your house, as I was saying, not to mention your churches, your private institutions, Elks Club, Knights of Columbus, anything. They can go in any building. And they will then start to study what you have. And they have the right to go everywhere. So your privacy is basically gone. Because they're going to come in and they can look in your bathroom and tell you what kind of lights you can have over your sink. You have a painting on the wall, they can tell you what kind of light bulb you can have to illuminate it. Outside floodlights, there's like 15 sections on outside lighting for residential use. They talk about microwaves, heating, cooking, as far as, what style stoves and all different warmers and all this different stuff, appliances, down to hand appliances. Refrigeration. They're going to be able to force you to buy current level energy saving products. Well, that's great if you have the money, if you all have jobs. They're going to be able to go in and they're actually going to be able to force you to remove pellet stoves, wood stoves, coal burning stoves. Not recycle them, but destroy them. They're also going to be able to go in, and they really focus on oil heat because they're really on that oil thing. And they're going to make sure that every furnace out there is at 80% efficiency, and the 80% efficiency level is of current technology. So I'm going to take an example of like my parents who are in their late 80s, who are not real healthy at this point, have a pretty big old house, and they've got oil heat. And they got a big old furnace, and yeah, they keep it kind of warm. But I'm sure that my parents are not going to be able to go out and buy a brand new furnace to heat a 20-room house, which they really don't need at this point, but you can't move them out, But it's scary. They're going to be able to force you to buy wrappings, certain kind of ductwork, all different kinds of things that you just can't imagine. So as much as I wanted to get into the meat of this, I think that what everybody really has to do, as you have the time, is go online to that website, Thomas, and start reading this thing. Because it's scarier than healthcare.